Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. We are back on White Knuckle. It is now July, which means that White Knuckle is, if you didn't know, they do community challenges. And one of their main challenges is trying to get the furthest in endless mode. And so I don't think that applies to specifically superstructure, but regardless, we're going to be playing endless mode. We're going to be doing endless silos. I want to try and get Climblord on this, so that's going to be our goal today. We're going to get the Vial of Moon Rocks and Unlimited Roaches. They've made a bunch of changes lately. I don't know all of them, but we're going to just kind of be finding them out. I know they did add some new ones for the bazaar, so I'm not exactly sure what all that's about, but we'll learn as we get going. Anyway, ooh, we got the little crunchy roach. That's fun. Anyway, yeah, gotta love White Knuckle. Very great game. It's one of those things that for any of the people watching my videos who have also watched Scourge White Knuckle. He's another content creator for White Knuckle. He's one of the more popular ones. Anyway, he is insane personally. Like this guy, I swear, he's got always some new idea up his sleeve. Like he never runs out of content for this game. So, hey, if you like White Knuckle and you want some videos, go check him out. He's a pretty cool guy. But yeah, so we're just gonna be playing White Knuckle. Don't really got a ton of plans for this video. I'm not really liking to edit my videos just because, it's a lot of work for, doing it for my entire recordings, because, a lot of my recordings are multiple hours, and so to go and then edit multiple hours of video footage, it's a lot. Now, if it was like, I, on my old channel, used to do a couple videos that were voiceovers. Voiceovers are definitely a lot easier. If you don't know how those work, at least how I would do them is you would record yourself like in a game or whatever you're going to be doing, and you just record the footage, and then also no lucky grub spawn, rip. Anyway, you would record the footage of yourself playing the game or whatever you'd be doing, and then after the fact, what you'd want to do is go and record like audio for whatever you were doing. And so overall, it just it's one of those things that you can do like part of it, if that makes sense, and then go back and do the voiceover. Also, I was hoping I could get up that way, but it looks like I can't right now, so we're gonna have to take the long way here. But yeah, definitely doing voiceover videos, like basically to where you say everything you want to say in the video, and then well, like you record all the footage, and then what you go back and do is also second one of these guys. That's pretty lucky. Anyway, what you do for it, you record all the footage that you want, and then you record all the audio that you want, and then you simply just put your audio in and then edit your video around your audio so that it makes it look like you've been recording, you know, a game or whatever, and then the audio is just part of that, but in reality, it was like split up, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like I kind of went on a tangent that nobody really cares about, but that's alright. Anyway, but yeah, you know, I enjoy making these videos. I know that I'm making it to a grand total of 9 viewers, so to all those 9 viewers, I love and appreciate you guys. You guys are amazing. Keep on the good work. Speaking of work, work has been horrible. Today was, I've mentioned in previous videos, I do lifeguarding. Man, today was today was something else. It wasn't my worst day to date, but I think it's definitely like up there. It's definitely like my second or something like that. It was just so infuriating. So, how it works is that when people enter the, you know, pool or whatever, they receive a wristband at like the front desk or whatever. And lately, they've been doing such a shitty job of it. Because we, as all the lifeguards, have to double check the height before anybody goes down any slides. Because if any kids are shorter than the amount, we just can't let them down. Also, real quick, I'll continue on what I was saying. 3 of these guys, that's really lucky. Anyway, let's check what we got going on. Adhesive perspiration, we got that one time. That was pretty nice. And then we have infinite money, so we're just gonna get the grub. I don't think unlimited roaches disqualifies me from any sort of leaderboards. Hopefully it doesn't. Anyway, also, we need to be looking out for the bizarre spawn in here. I kind of missed it last time. Anyway, let's continue on going up. But with that, we have to, whenever we... Okay. How I check to make sure that kids meet all the height requirements is we have like 48 and 42 inches as like our yellow and red bands. Anyway, I marked kind of where on my body I feel that those measurements kind of are, and so whenever I see kids around there, like let's say they're green band but they're really close, I'll just do a real quick height check on them. Anyway, usually you'll have maybe like a couple kids a day that they've got the wrong band, like front desk was in a rush or whatever. No joke, today I had to do about 20 band swaps. Like, it's annoying for me, and it's kind of sad for me. I consider myself a pretty nice guy, and so I don't like to be the bearer of bad news, or, you know, to make other people feel bad. Like, you know, whenever we have kids that are going down a green banded slide, and then I've got to then go and tell them that I nearly just died there. I don't know how I didn't. Like, we had one kid that we didn't catch it sooner, but they were originally given a green band, but they were a yellow band by a solid couple inches, so not like they're like barely like short enough, you know. They're pretty short compared to what they're supposed to be, but we didn't catch it soon enough, and so the parent and the kid ended up going all the way up to the frontal line, which is probably like a good 20-minute wait, just to kind of get told that, hey, I'm so sorry, we can't have you guys go down the slide, or we at least can't have your daughter come down because, well, she's too short. I hate being the bearer of bad news, and today was really bad at that, because there was like 20 kids that I had to do that to, and then there was multiple kids that, like, if you had to ask me, probably one of the things I hate the most, it's making kids cry, if that makes sense. Like, it's not much that it happens, but it does occasionally happen at the job. But there was a couple of kids today that, because of the whole thing, you know, they genuinely started like tearing up, and so it's like, you feel bad because you've kind of ruined this kid's day a little bit. Like, I know you like haven't fully ruined it, but you did like kind of like make their day a bit shittier because of that. But then again, it's your job, so it's not like you have like a choice, you know? I mean, you do. I'm sure you do, but well, I know you do. But anyway, it's just one of those things that, you know, you feel bad having to be that person, but you don't really got much of a choice. We got, okay, first of all, I really like how, things have been for, in these vending machines, by the way. Vending machine stuff here. Very great. We did get blink eyes, I believe last video, maybe, for white knuckle. Anyway, they're very nice. I do like the, blink eyes. But now we're able to purchase them, which is even better. And then we're gonna try and get lucky with the explosive spear, see what it gives us. Just 2 more spears, that's fun. I really don't need these, so I think I'm fine. Anyway, but I hate being that bearer of bad news, and so the people at the front, by giving those wrong bands, like single-handedly made me feel like I was like a super asshole to everybody. Which wasn't the case. I will say that there is like a, like, guests can shout you out, and surprisingly enough, I got back to my car after work, because you're not allowed to have your phone during your shift, which for some people that's like, man, that's pretty crazy. And yeah, I get that, but it's like, if you're a lifeguard, they don't want you to be distracted at all. And so if you got any sort of phone, you just kind of need to say, yeah, I need to put this thing away until I'm done with work. Albeit we do get like a 30-minute lunch break, which is pretty nice, but it's definitely like a while without anything. But I'm not a little screenager or whatever you call them these days, where I can't put my phone down, you know? Ooh, shoot. I was a little worried there for a second, because I wasn't sure how fast the mass is moving. In fact, I'm still not really sure. Anyway, yeah, we're playing White Knuckle, though, yeah. Anyway, continuing on what I was talking about earlier, anyway, I had to do a bunch of bands, and, you know, for me that makes me feel bad, but, it wasn't just that. Today was a day, alright. Now, I'll go into my worst day here soon, because that happened about a week back, and that one, you know, knock on wood, I hope it never happens again, but that was a really, really shitty day. Anyway, today though, so you had the bands, and so that was a little bit like, you know, kind of saddening for me to have to do, because I don't like making kids sad like that. But at the end of the day, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. But anyway, the thing with that is, towards the end of my shift, there was a guy and his daughter. Guy's about like 40, big old beard, you know, whatever. And also, I'm gonna check the vending machine real quick. Okay, there's a whole lot of nothing. We'll deposit the roach. We'll give him a little bit of a home. Anyway, we were ending our shift because we do like an AM and a PM shift, because, you know, the whole pool and everything like that is open for like, what, maybe 12 hours total? I don't know. Anyway, it's a long day, and you're not gonna have people, you know, there for the entire time that you're open, so you've got multiple shifts. Anyway, as I'm about maybe 30 minutes done with my shift, you know, I'm wrapping up, you know, my slide that I'm like having to send down and everything, and I get this guest that, you know, I ask if I can height check their daughter, and there's a trend with height checking everybody, because every parent, or like every like 2 out of 3 parents, always say this, that, oh yeah, they've gone down the slide multiple times before and they haven't had an issue with it. And, you know, that might be the case, but at the end of the day, it's irrelevant what they were doing earlier. If the other guards were messing up and letting him down, then that's on them. But for me, I don't want to be messing up because I'm still kind of new to a lifeguarding job, so I'm still following things by the rulebook, as I feel like you should. You're working as a lifeguard. You got to take your job seriously. And oh, what the fuck? Okay. Okay, sorry. Give me a second, guys. Holy. Fucking hate you. Anyway, I forgot that these things now spawn. They just added these things. They're like, new spawnable enemies inside of the silos. I'll get to the little thing over there here in a second. Also, I'll continue on what I was saying once I am in there. Let's check on this. We're gonna get system reorganization. It's just a very all-around perk. And with that, we're gonna hop in here. We're looking for the translocator. The translocator is by far one of the best ones for endless silos, because it's basically a reusable blink eye. That is very useful for if you're going through like air exchange. Anyway, but what I was saying earlier is there is a trend with parents that they basically, you know, you say, hey, can I height check your kid real quick? And they're like, oh yeah, I've gone down this like 5 times before and they haven't had an issue. And like, I do gotta let them know that like, hey, you know, that might be the case, but regardless, I still have to check their height, for me personally, to make sure that they're all good. And for some of the times, like, I tend to not try and height check them unless I'm kind of confident that they might be below the height. But sometimes I'm wrong. Like, I'm always like, when I'm looking for like what kids. Ooh, also, we just got our amazing pole. This was the exact artifact we were wanting, so that means we never have to do one of those artifact things again, because we got the one we wanted. Anyway, but the, what was it, parent, they always ask, like, you know, like, why do I need to do this now? They were fine earlier. Gotta let them know all that, but anyway, with that, this guest, he was like 40 or so, and he was asking those questions, which, you know, if I was in his position, I might ask the same questions too, because, you know, you want to, like, you're a little confused, like, you just went down this, like, bunch of times, how is there an issue now, of all times, which is totally understandable. I completely get it. But anyway, I do this slide. I see that, you know, it's meant for yellow bands, which is 42 inches and above. And I think that this guy's daughter is around that. I'm not, like, I'm going into this height check thinking that she might be okay. But regardless, I just want to double check. Which, as part of my job, I do need to. And the, you know, we do the height check. The guy's like pretty like frustrated about it all. I have her stand, you know, heels to the back of the thing, and then, you know, make sure that you stand up tall and straight. And anyway, you know, she does it the first time, and she's about 41 inches, which is a full inch shorter. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, she might have just been a little bit, you know, slunched over. Let me just have her do it one more time, and, you know, make sure that she's standing up tall. I do that, and then I do say, like, well, unfortunately, she is under the, you know, requirements. Because, you know, you've got to be 42 inches to do the slide. You know, if it was just me, you know, I'd be like, you're all good to go. Also, the mass is rising fast. I don't know if you guys saw it below me. Anyway, the, parent, or here, I want to get to this break room real quick. Or at least get ahead of this mass a little bit more. The little sticky hand things is pretty good, because for the next hand grab on each hand, I believe, it functions like a grub. And so you can just kind of climb up really fast. Ooh, let me just give that a thwack. Anyway, I height check his daughter. His daughter's an inch short, which I think, okay, well, maybe she was just a little slunched over. Let me have her stand up, you know, straighter. And she does, and she comes out to 41 inches. Well, not 41. Well, yes, 41, but she is 41 and a half. And so I do, like, start telling the dad, well, like, first of all, there's not a huge line right now, so they shouldn't be too upset in the first place. Like, these guys literally just walked up a flight of stairs, and they're already at the front of the line, you know? Like, they've had to do, like, no waiting up until this point. And so there's no reason why they should be too upset. But I do understand if they are. Let's check my perks real quick. Cardinal Bloodlust could be good if we get the Cleaver, but we don't have it right now. Let me double check that we don't have the Bazaar. Yeah, we don't. Okay, that's another thing with the changelog, by the way. They did make it so that it spawns less in the break rooms for Endless, and it has more random spawns. So just a bit more interesting, but, yeah. Anyway, so I height check his daughter. She's half an inch short, and if it was just me, you know, I'd just be like, you know what, it's whatever, you're all good to go. But, you know, it's my job. My mindset is you get a job with the assumption that you're doing all that you should be doing, and if you're not, then maybe you shouldn't be working that job. That's my personal thought process on it. But anyway, I let the dad know that, hey, unfortunately your daughter is too short. And then he asked, like, can you show me? And then, like, you know, like, that's a completely reasonable thing to ask. Like, if you want me to show you, that's fine. I'll show you. And so, anyway, I show him that she is, in fact, too short. And instead of being, like, reasonable and all that sort of stuff, like, he literally is, like, at the side of me. And so he can very clearly see that the fact that she is too short. But instead he decides to be argumentative about it, which, you know, I understand. Like, you know, you're going down the slide a couple times in the day. You know, you might be, like, a little combative. Like, you don't want to, like, you know, like, I was just fine, like, a second ago. Why is this an issue now, you know? Which is understandable. But, regardless, I do have to enforce the rules. So I tell him, like, hey, I'm so sorry. She's all good. To do all the other slides, just not any of the ones, like, over in an area that I work. Like, because there's, like, specific, like, zones, if that makes sense, that they're able to be in. And anyway, so I let him know that, and he instead, like, I tell him, like, hey, I'm sorry if you disagree with my, you know, judgment. You can always feel free to go up to the front and get them to double check it. But, as you saw here, it is saying that. And the reason why I said that, you know, he can, like, if he feels like I might be wrong, then he can, you know, combat it, because the, usually for the other ones, we have to, like, place the scales on, like, a level surface. And most of the time, like, the surface is already level. The one I was at was level. It was just that, like, it's not, like, it looks level, but I haven't, like, completely, like, 100% visually, like, confirmed, like, you know, every imperfection. So, like, what I'm saying is there might be, like, maybe, like, a 5-degree tilt, maybe, if that. Point is I give him, you know, the option that, hey, if you disagree, I'll take no offense if you want to go get it double checked by some people over at the front. And but I did say that, hey, I will need to, you know, take off their yellow band because, you know, I just checked their height and they aren't one. And so, like, you don't want a guest that's a red band or supposed to be a red band, you know. Also, bizarre, yippee, you don't want to guess that it's a yellow band, or not a yellow band, a red band, still having a yellow band, and then still proceeding to maybe ride the rides, and having lifeguards that don't check. Like, if you have lifeguards in check, then that's good, but some of the lifeguards aren't the best there, and we have a lot of new hires lately, so, also, let's check what's going on here. We do have the cleaver. That is very good. And then we have the entity scanner. We got some trinkets. Should keep you safe from most security systems. The beta. Okay. I want both of you guys, and I want the cleaver. That is going to be 36. I'm not a huge, like, needer of blink eyes right now. It's 32. How much does a spear get? Nothing. A grand total is $0. Ain't that great. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this, because I want to keep some blink eyes. Maybe I don't need that much grubs, or he just doesn't want grubs. I guess I can just overpay a little bit. I don't mind doing that. Let me see how much injector gives. Let's do you guys. Man, it's really hard to find like the perfect amount for this. Let's see if we give an injector and take one of the blink eyes back. Okay, injector and blink eyes are worth the same amount. All right, let's give him. We can just overpay him a little bit. These are pretty. Oh wait, I forgot. I can just flat out give him this stuff right here. That's 43. So if we take, that's 36. That's good with me. Anyway, what I was trying to say is, like, we've got to, you know, make sure that they have the correct band, because if they don't and they keep going on the slides, then, you know, somebody's gonna, you know, hear about that. Anyway, so I tell the guy, hey, I need to go and change the band on your daughter. And instead he proceeds to get really argumentative and then get up all in my face and be like, I'm not gonna do that, and even if you did somehow put a band on my daughter, I just go straight back to the front and get them to put on a new yellow one for me anyway. And it's like, dude, if you just want to be an asshole, go ahead, but like, all I'm trying to do is keep your kids safe. There's a reason why we have those requirements anyway. It's to keep your kids safe. Like, if you've got a kid that's going in a tube and they're too small, you're on the risk of them slipping out of the tube while they're going down and getting themselves injured. And I don't want to get anybody injured. Anyway, so, like, before I can get a band on this kid, the guy, like, does, like, literally, like, a toddler temper tantrum, like, storm off. Like, you know how, like, toddlers, they do, like, the big old, like, stomp of their feet and, like, basically, like, walk their arms away. This guy is 40, and he's doing that, walking away. So, anyway, I mean, you do you, but he was just such an asshole about the entire situation. And, you know, if you want to be that way, that's your prerogative, man. But, like, there's no need to take things out on me. I'm just trying to do my job, you know? So, anyway, also, real quick, I'm going to do a jump cut. Gotta go use the restroom, so I'll be back right in a second, guys. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Real quick side note, something that's a little bit frustrating, and I don't know if this is just me, but just thought I'd bring it up. I don't know if this affects anybody else, but does anybody ever have the situation where, like, you know, for me, like, my family will make dinner, and, you know, I've got siblings, and so I gotta wait for my siblings to eat some. Sometimes they don't eat any, and, you know, that's their prerogative, but, you know, but you ask, like, hey, could you guys maybe let me know once everybody's, you know, done eating so that I could, you know, maybe have some more if there is some. And, you know, they say yes, and then you never hear anything about it. Like, for me, I'm the type of person that, like, something that really kind of sets me off a little bit, like, not, like, crazy, like, angering, but, like, kind of ticks you off is when somebody says they're gonna do something. Also, lucky injector, if I can grab it. Like, they say they're gonna do something and they don't. Like, that's one of my biggest, like, kind of like pet peeves. Like, I think promises are very important. Like, if you made a promise and you have a good reason, you know, it's fine. Like, I'm sure they just forgot, and, you know, that's an okay reason. Like, we all forget, but it's one of those things that when, like, it's repeated, if that makes sense. Like, somebody does the same thing over and over again, and then they tell you that, oh yeah, I'll fix that, and then they don't. Like, at the end of the day, when it comes to, like, parents, they don't have to do anything. Like, they don't have to let me know if they don't want to. It's really just up to them. But it's one of those things that, you know, you'd feel like when somebody says something to you that their words, you know, you'd expect that their words have, like, some value behind them. But, whenever you, like, ask something and then they say they're gonna do something and then they don't, you know, it kind of can get a little bit frustrating. I don't know, that's just me. Anyway, with that, we had meatball subs. Gotta love meatball subs. If you love meatball subs, let me know in the comments. I'd love to see other, you know, meatball lovers in there. By far, one of the best meals ever conceived. But that's just me. I'm sure, well, I'm 100% confident not everybody loves meatballs, but hey, if you do, great on you, and if not, great on you. But yeah, it's just one of those things that, you know, promises are a very important thing, I feel like, you know. If you make promises constantly and don't see them through, your words start to lose meaning, in a sense. And, you know, I'm not saying that, like, just because parents didn't let me know that you can get more meatball subs, you know, means that they lose all meaning for them. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm meaning just, like, you know, you, in general, if you say things and then you never really follow through with them, your words don't have that same meaning. Also, pulse organ, can I get a big old W? Amazing perk. Love pulse organ. Also, cleaver, super amazing, because you can, I believe, smash boxes. We don't really have any smashable boxes in this room, but I believe it can work similar to the hammer for smashing stuff, which is the main thing that we needed it for. So if we can, you know, have it basically do that for us, then we're kind of set. But anyway, that was just a little side rant I had. We don't need to go in there because we do have the translocator. Very happy that we got that. Such a great item. We do have metabolic stasis, which is quite nice. All consumables last 75% longer. Which means as we get to climbing these next sections, we are able to also, let's do this. we're gonna use a couple items. I'm gonna climb up this wall. Also, I don't like it when it does this foggy effect. I know it's meant to, like, maybe add some more randomization to the rooms, which I think is good. I think a game always needs, you know, some sort of randomization to make it more unique for every playthrough. But it's one of those things that, you know, I don't know. It just makes it a little bit more annoying. This room, such a nice way to get up once you know how to do it. If you don't, highly recommend you just do what I did. It's very fast. This room does have 2 grubs, but I feel like it is such a long way to get it. Same for, there's a room in, also, Lucky Injector and Pill Bottle Spawn. Anyway, yeah, like there's a room generation called, or nicknamed, the Grub Hub. Because you can get 4 grubs and 2 injectors, I believe, from a single room, which is quite nice. But you only want to do that if you are in a casual run or the very beginning of an endless run, because that room will screw you over. Because, you know, one time I thought that I had time to go and do that while I was doing endless, but the mass apparently had sped up enough to, by the time you get, oh shoot, alright, lock in, guys, give me 1 second. Okay, something I do say we need is definitely going to be either a lot more pulse organs, or we're going to need some rabbit DNA. Because, also, really hope that this isn't the one with the one that I have to wait on. Shit, it is. Okay. If push comes to shove, I can do a blink eye through here. I'm gonna try not to, though. Okay. We're almost... Yep, this next room's the break room. Yep, alright. Great job. Alright, we'll get back inside in a second. Yeah, I think I was saying something that, like, you know, your words start to lose their meaning once you don't fulfill on it. So... yeah. Anyway, we're doing quite nice at this point. I do feel like I want rabbit DNA or something to... Whew, this is basically a wasted one. I don't know what to do. I should have definitely taken one on the front one. This is like by far the worst one, like, roll that you can get for your perks on Endless. I'll get pheromone glands just because it might let me get some ruby roaches, which I don't know if they're better for profit motive. And if we do get profit motive, it might be nice. Overall, our perks aren't really synchronizing too much. They kind of are. They're kind of nice, but they're not too much. Anyway, there's more about work, but I do feel like I've got to lock in at this point. I don't know how far exactly we are. I'm sure... Let's see if we can pull it up. I bet there's something in here. Accessibility. Also, high handhold visibility and shimmer handholds. We're going to turn those on. For casual playthroughs, I don't. But for this, I feel like it's kind of helpful for Endless. Lets you see things better. Let's see. Let's, I want to have the, like, score that we have up. I don't know if I can do that, though. I don't think I can. That's fun. Anyway, I'm sure there's some sort of keybind I can hit. I've seen people do it, so we'll figure it out. But yeah, we're getting to that point where we've got to kind of lock in. And it's not going unbelievably fast, but it's going fast enough to where we need to seriously be moving. The 15% reach is kind of nice, because we can't, like, I don't know if you can see, I'm, like, able to stretch a whole lot further with that. Also, if you get a bunch of reach, you can just flat out, like, just grab above you, and you're pretty much good. Anyway, there's more things about work. I will kind of talk about it along the way, but I will be focusing. But yeah, that was a little side tangent. I'll also go into my worst day to date here soon. Anyway, work was, it wasn't the greatest because of the bands, but it was like just a piece of the puzzle, if that makes sense. Because you had not only kids with improper bands, but kids that just don't listen to you. And so I know that's just like any kid ever, because no kid ever wants to listen to anybody. But anyway, there is some slides that are for the kids with red bands, which I mentioned earlier. That's for like the littler kids. And so, anyway, I am managing the slides. Also, day prior, I'll get to that in a second. One of my coworkers, which, if you did watch my last video, I did mention that I did like somebody for my work. But it's one of those things that you don't want to get involved with it because, there's like a whole bunch of like workplace stuff that I just don't want to have to deal with. Plus, I don't think they share my same values a ton. They're a nice person, but at the end of the day, you got to find that person that really kind of feels right for you. And, I think they're a great person. But if we're talking long term, I don't know if they really fit what I'm looking for in a sense. Also, Cleaver, very nice. I know that if I get the meat, I can get some stuff, I believe, but we're not doing that right now. It's endless. I kind of want to focus. This is the shitty room with the one that turns on and off, which I feel like when you are in a long endless run, it can be like a make or break for your run. I think the method overall is to I've got to focus here. If the mask starts coming up, I need to start blink-eyeing through it. That's like the... Yeah, it's here. Alright. Oh, wait. Sweet, we're already done. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of what I like about endless silos. It's quite fast. We're going to check out the bazaar. If there's something in here we want, we can grab it. We can do another beta, which I don't know how that is. And then headlamp, I don't think we need that. We have blink eye and cryo gun. The only thing I want here is that, but I don't know if it really gives much. We're gonna try. We're gonna put some stuff down to try and give him. I don't know if he accepts explosive spears, but he does. He didn't earlier, so that's interesting. Can we also give him a floppy disk? Will he take that? He will. Alright, well, basically paid a grand total of $0.00 for that. Anyway, I hope that it can stack, but we'll have to see. I can't tell if it does. Okay, we'll measure this real quick. From this corner outwards, we reach about that far. And if we remove one of the betas and we drop it on the ground, then we still go about that far. So I think it was a waste. We're still going to keep it, just in case. But anyway, with the bands, you have kids that don't listen, like they always do. And I have a horror story for that coworker that I like. Anyway, they had to deal with some kids that were coming up the slide. Anyway, I'll get to that in a second. But there was a lot of stuff today. I realized that I don't have like enough time to talk about all this. Honestly, if I wrap up this endless one pretty fast, I might just take like a little intermission to just talk. Um, Also, do we want elastic limbs? That might be kind of nice, but I do want to reroll. Heavy strike is going to be good for the plank rooms, so it's not the most crazy useful right now. We'll talk for a minute before we get going, I guess. We are over encumbered, but I think that's okay. What we're gonna be doing, by the way, is we're gonna pop a grub and an injector, and we're just gonna fly up the room. Anyway, I'm gonna put the little grub away so you don't have to hear him. But anyway, kids don't listen, and we have a very strict rule of you need to go on your bottom. Yes, that's not one that kids have many issues with, but more so making sure that there is only one kid going down at a time. Today, I probably had about 5 incidents where kids went down when there was another kid at the bottom, and that is very risky, because if a different kid hits another kid and they get hurt, then I get in trouble. Albeit, I don't think I'd actually get in trouble because it was on the fault of the kid for doing that. Anyway, there's a couple kids that did that, and, you know, I give the benefit of the doubt to the kids, because usually that happens once, and then I get on to the kid, you know, next time they come up, and just let them know, hey, buddy, you went down when there was another kid at the bottom. I need you to wait till I tell you can go. And for usually most kids, that's it. And it was, except for one group. I'm saying group for a reason. There was a mother and her son. Now, I give benefits of the doubts to the kids, because the kids don't know any better. Parents, you're a grown adult. This lady is like 35, so she should know better. Anyway, they get to the top. Her son then proceeds to go down the slide as I actively tell both of them, hey, I need you guys to wait till I let you know you can go. The kid goes down, is like a few feet from hitting the other one, and, you know, I didn't get in trouble at all, but, like, you know, you're not supposed to do that. And so I tell the mom, hey, I need you to let your son know that he can't do that. He needs to wait till I tell him he can go. And then I let the mother down, and I think, okay, that's the end of it. They come back up, and the boy goes down the other slide, and he does the exact same thing. I let a kid down, and I tell him to wait, and he goes. And so the same kid has gone down while there's another kid in there. And so I'm kind of at my wit's end, and I tell the parent, hey, you really need to let him know that he needs to wait. And she kind of like got it at that point, I thought. Anyway, and then I let her down. She talks with her son. They both come back up. And he waits, kinda. He waits till like they're almost out, and then as I'm telling him to wait just a little bit longer, he goes down. And I'm telling her, like, hey, I need you to really make sure he stops that, because if he does it one more time, I need to go get a supervisor. And then at the same time, the mother, as I'm telling her, hey, I need you guys to wait till I tell you can go, she then goes when I don't tell her to go. Like, she does the exact same thing I just got onto her son about 3 times, and she just did it. And so she's going down as her son is at the bottom, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing, lady? And so, like, I am, like, at my wit's end. Like, the person before me, their name is Coco. They're a good coworker also. Bad story about them today. It was better once I got there, apparently, but I missed out on, like, some horror level shit. Anyway, we'll get on to that in the next break room, but I'm going to finish up what I'm saying before we continue. Anyway, kids don't listen. The mom comes back up with her son, and then finally, like, once I, told them, hey, I'm gonna get a supervisor involved, they're like, oh, maybe I should just not do this. So they finally stop. At that same time, have you ever been to a water park? If you have, do you guys know of those little, like, cone-shaped buckets that, like, they fill up with enough water and then they tip themselves over? If you do, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, maybe just go search it up. Anyway, we have a couple of these at the top of, like, that kind of, like, play structure that I'm at with the slides and stuff. Anyway, there's railings all around, and then those buckets are pretty up high. Some kid, she's about 14, so I would assume she probably would know better than to, like, first of all, it's unsafe to go do what she did, which I'll get to in a second. But not only that, I feel like you'd have the common sense to be like, hey, I probably shouldn't do that. Nope. Anyway, this kid stands on top of the railing. Like, their feet are easily 15 feet above the ground. Like, you fall, that kid might be breaking a leg. I don't know how severe falls are, but I'm assuming, considering their water being on the ground, if you fall, you're going to slip and you're going to twist your leg weird, and then you've got a broken leg. This kid is on the railing, barely holding onto a metal pillar, trying to reach out to tip the bucket. And I'm like, what are you doing? I did the loudest whistle I have ever done before. And I literally pointed at them and just pointed away. And they got the memo. But, like, dude, I was livid. Anyway, they stopped. They went on about their thing. I didn't see them. They came back later to the same slides. And I'm like, hey, well, because they were wearing glasses. Now they weren't earlier, and so I asked, hey, I remember the person being in a red bathing suit. Was that you? And she's like, yeah. And she's just like, anyway, I got on to her and I told her, if you do this again, I'm getting a supervisor. Like, I didn't say it like that, but I basically let her know that. The supervisors, God bless their souls, they deal with all the shitty kids and parents and any sort of, like, you guys know, accidents at the pool do happen. And so, guess who cleans that up? Not me. Thankfully enough, my supervisors do that. But, definitely gotta give it to them. They get a pay bump for being supervisors, so it's a little bit more worth it for them. But, man, they go through a lot. Anyway, so kid's not listening. It's like a blue and yellow slide that I manage. Despise it. I hated a different slide because it was more manual labor previously, but today has single-handedly changed what slide I hate the most, because that whole incident was awful. And I'm going to tell you guys one little incident that happened with that girl that I like, who was working. What happened with her, I'll tell you guys as I get to the next break room. I feel bad that I've had you guys waiting for a couple minutes while I did a little story time. But, anyway, we're going to continue on up. Anyway, so she is managing blue and yellow one day, and we're trained through work to deal with kids with autism. They don't know any better, so I give them the benefit of the doubt. But there was a kid that they were autistic, and they proceeded to, as the person's trying to send kids down the slide, go and climb up from the bottom of the slide to the very top. So they're doing like the one, like, absolute, like, worst case thing you should ever do there. Because if you send a kid down while the other person's, on there, then you're kind of screwed a little bit. Also, I need to pop some injectors. I'm going to pop another injector and a grub, and we're going to fly up these rooms. I was getting encumbered, that's why I was doing that. Anyway, but the kid climbed all the way to the very top of the entire slide as she's trying to send people down. Like, if you're not paying good enough attention, which she was, so great on her. But man, if you don't pay good enough attention, then you've got a kid with some sort of injuries. I don't know what would fully happen, but somebody's probably most definitely getting hurt because of that. Also, I'd love to do the secret room that's in this area, but I feel like it takes way too long. Also, we're kind of flying through these rooms right now. I think we've got good enough perks that we're kind of outrunning the mass a good bit. We're also getting just good generation. We do have rabbit DNA, but I don't know how good that's going to be for me right now, because rabbit DNA is good if you have like multiple stacks of it. And I kind of like how I'm getting with the like just full, like, you're not having to use the rabbit DNA, you're just like really just fully climbing up the room. So I'm gonna re-roll. We do get profit motive, which this was kind of what I was looking for a little bit. They did just update this, so I thought it said that it tells you how much you get per like roach you have. Anyway, those little ruby roaches are worth a whole lot more, and so I'm trying to get them. I don't think that they affect it much, if any, more than the other ones. Also, we're gonna just get rid of this trinket. I don't think it's doing anything. And we'll get a different roach in here. So with that, we do get some good like reach improvements along with other stuff, so that's pretty nice. Anyway, so kids climbing up the slide. She, like, I went down there when we rotated, because we rotate like every 30 minutes. Also, that rotation for blue and yellow was obscenely longer than normal, so I don't know what was going on there. Anyway, we got rotated, but the day prior, she was having to deal with that. And I literally got there, and no joke, her hands were shaking because of that. Because I got down right as that was ending, because the supervisor was there. She didn't, you know, warn the kid, because, I mean, for something like that, you don't warn them, like, because that's like a big no-no. Like, you gotta go straight to the parents and let them know, hey, your kid was just doing this. You need to stop him, you know. So anyway, they get all done with that. She's all like shaken up about it, which, you know, understandably so. I would probably be too. But yeah, definitely like hate blue and yellow more than anything now. You know, the other slides, they're okay, but that one, it's like, it's just a horror story waiting to happen. Also, if there's another person did have a horror story with a similar slide, which I don't know where this was. It might have been at like Waterworld or something like that. Anyway, they were sending kids down the slide, and they didn't see good enough if a kid got out. Apparently, a kid, this is a big thing. Also, kids like to stop themselves in the slide. So you're like literally playing Five Nights at Freddy's, like looking at like this TV that shows you the bottoms, and then like looking like at the like entrances, and like managing the line and like everything like that. So it's very chaotic. Anyway, kids stopped themselves inside there. She didn't see that one time, and she let a kid down, and a kid went full force into like another kid's chest. And it's like, first of all, that's totally on the fault of the kid, I feel like. Because what are you doing? You should not be doing that. But yeah, definitely like a big horror story. I'm going to let the little notification thing at the bottom get done so I can hear myself a little bit better. But then we're going to get going. I think I have maybe a couple more things that were a little bit infuriating about today. Actually, not really. That's kind of it for today. Today was just very, like, there was a lot of stuff that was just going wrong, and you didn't have kids that were listening to you. And, you know, it's whatever. If a kid isn't listening to you and they get hurt, that's on the kid. But still, it's like, you know, I don't want any kids to get hurt while I'm on my shift. And overall, like, I don't know. The kids there, and kids in general, are not bright. Speaking of, I was not a bright kid myself. Funny story, I guess, is, I'm sure many people know what Harry Potter is or have read the books themselves. I read the books and then I watched the movies. So if you don't know kind of what it's about a little bit, you know, it's about wizards. You got your main Harry Potter guy, whatever. Anyway, they're in the story. Oh, shoot. Okay, we're needing to lock in right now. Okay. Whew. Okay. Anyway, Harry Potter, he goes to Hogwarts on his 11th birthday, I believe. And here I am, an 11-year-old boy, thinking, you know, I see the movies, and for some reason in my mind, the thought, I can't perceive the fact that there can be something that's in a movie that can be fake. I thought if you see it, you believe it. That was kind of like my main mentality, and so here I am, like 10 years old, 10 years old, about to turn 11 or so, literally thinking, like, days before my birthday, that I'm going off to Hogwarts. So, not a bright kid. That's why I give the benefit of the doubt to kids in general. Because nobody is bright as a kid. You know, it's that kind of foolishness that is kind of nice about those years. You can just get away with being stupid a good bit. We are back at the break room, so this is pretty nice. I am glad that I took the single hit breaks things. That kind of saved me a little bit earlier. I don't know if you guys noticed. We don't have the bazaar. It's fine. Anyway, so here I am, days before my birthday, you know, literally like talking to my parents, thinking that, yeah, you know, I'm gonna miss you guys, but I think it's gonna be really fun to learn magic. I was so stupid. I genuinely thought that it was real. So anyway, my dad breaks it to me that it's not real, and it was crushing as a kid. I remember one night many houses ago, because we've moved a whole lot over the past, like, what, 8 years now, 9 years, whatever. And I remember literally, like, bawling my eyes out that night because of it. Because for some reason, like, I think it would be really cool if magic was a thing, but at the same time, it's not a thing, and I'm very grateful for that, because could you imagine a society where magic is a thing and everybody has it? If you're asking me, that sounds like a shit show just waiting to happen. Also, we did just get enhanced back strengtheners, which my main point in that is I want to get some more roaches here and improve my profit motive. So that's my thought process with that, by the way. Anyway, the I didn't process it at a time, so I was a stupid kid. That's why I kind of give a bit more benefit to it out to the kids, because, you know, we were all stupid kids at one point. If you say you weren't, then you're lying to yourself. You know, you could be some crazy math whiz, whoever the hell. And, you know, if that's you, great on you. I think that's amazing. But, there's always something you're flawed at. That's another thing. There is never, if you think that you are best in everything, or you are going to be best in everything, that is such a flawed mentality. Um, I can't stop you from thinking what you think if that is you, but do understand that nobody is perfect. We're all flawed as people. And, yeah, so, you may be better in one thing, but you're flawed in another. There's never a single person that is perfect. So, with that, um, nobody's ever perfect as a kid, nor will anybody ever be perfect. Um, and so, also the mass is right below me. I do not like that. Um, definitely do got to climb up fast. We're only at 6,000 meters, which is very surprising. It's definitely climbing up a lot faster than I'd like, but since we are playing on unlimited roaches, we don't have to worry about like collecting roaches as to get our perks. That is like an issue, but I feel like that's more for oh shit. Alright, well that's fun. I wasn't paying good enough attention. We're gonna get back there really fast, by the way. We're gonna play one more run. Anyway. Nobody's ever perfect. We're all flawed as people. If you say you're perfect, you're not. I do really regret losing that run because we did have some very good items. I did like that run, but at the end of the day, we're not perfect either, so that's why we failed. Also, failure is a blessing. That is my mentality, because failure shows you what you can improve on. Because if we never did anything wrong, what would we ever know that we needed to improve? So that's my thought process on that. But anyway, getting back to work. Today was a pretty infuriating day. It was good though at the very end. I was kind of surprised. There's an employee appreciation thing that guests can do. And apparently one person was so kind of moved by me today that they felt the need to go and write a employee compliment card, which usually the only cards that are being filled out by those are like supervisors recognizing good employees. So it's very rare to have guests like, write one of those. So the fact that they did is amazing. So at the end of the day, it was kind of like a well needed thing because it was just such a draining day today. Not as bad as my worst day. I'm going to get back into my worst day in a second. That's a whole nother story. But, what is it? Yeah, so it just kind of made me feel like, even though I might have had, some really shitty guests today that made me kind of regret working there. I do like it. It's nice. I am getting paid more than minimum wage where I live, so it is quite nice. However, the guests can be terrible at times, but I think at the end of the day, if you can just get one person to just improve their day, then that's all you really need. Because you can never make everybody feel happy. You could try your best, and you could maybe say that you think you do, but you probably don't. What I'm trying to say, though, is that, you can strive to make everybody happy, and, maybe that works out decently, and, you make a lot of people happy, but at the end of the day, there's always going to be somebody that's has an issue, so you're never going to please everybody. And I feel like you should never try to please anybody in life, because you don't live for the value of others. You live for the value of, like, you've got to, your value shouldn't depend on the value that others give upon you. That's what I'm trying to say. So, I think that, what is it? Shit, I kind of forgot what I was saying there. Sorry, guys. Let me find my train of thought. But yeah, like, what I was saying, like, I now remembered, is, like, if I can just make the one guy happy a day, and they really appreciated that time, then that makes the whole day worth it, because at least I know that that one person, they were happy. You could try and make everybody happy. It'll never happen. But if you can at least just try and make that one person's day happier, then that's good. So, we're going to grab a pill here, by the way. We're just going to try and stock up on items. We didn't get the injector spawn. We are at the break room, though. We're going to try and keep going faster as we talk. So yeah, I'm just kind of happy that at least one guy, out of all the guests, he really appreciated it. That means a lot to me. And so, I I appreciate the guy writing that. It made the whole day, although it was really infuriating, it made the whole day worth it in a sense. So I really do appreciate that guy. His name is Ben, by the way. Ben Franklin, totally. Anyway, whoever he is, he's for sure never gonna watch any of my stuff. But I hope that he has a blessed day. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, we're, I don't know. I guess I'll go on to my worst day at this point. I don't really, I'm just kind of going with the flow here. I don't have, some crazy, itinerary, I want to talk about this, and then I need to move on to this, and, yada, yada, yada. For me, this is just playing White Knuckle, trying to get far, see maybe if I qualify for a challenge. If anything, I don't think I'm going to qualify for a challenge, but if I could get Climblord for this, which is getting to 20,000 meters, I believe, that's a huge achievement for me. So if I could get something like that down, it doesn't need to be some world record distance. If I could just do that, then, that's progress for myself. Speaking of progress, I'm going to mention my favorite anime of all time. If you are into anime at all, and you're wanting a great one, if you haven't seen it already, please watch Gurren Lagann. It's kind of like a Gundam, but not really. It goes from a guy basically trying to, leave his, what is it? Leave this society that he was in, to reach the surface. He goes from there to fighting a literal god. So I'm religious. I don't think that it's a good idea to have okay, let me get this straight. I think that the concept of there being gods and stuff in that and anime, that's fine. Where you start kind of rubbing me wrong is if you say that one's right, one's wrong. I think it's up to the individual as to what you believe. Nobody can force you to believe anything, and so trying to have somebody be forced upon that is I don't know. I kind of got off topic a little bit, but what is it? I think that I forget what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something, and I had a good topic that I was gonna kind of rant about, but I kind of just forgot it. It'll come back to me, so I'll get back to it in a second, but I guess for right now I'll just go on to worst work day. Um, it things come in threes, to say the least. It was a triple whammy of things. Some of it being the work day, some of it being stuff at home, and we'll get to that. Um, so start off work. Everything is going fine up until about lunchtime. Get back from lunch, and as my coworker was saying, I believe the same one that, what is it? I kind of like, so, I'm not gonna say her name or anything, for one reason or another. Anyway, we did get the perspiration thing, so do love that. I love feeling like I'm always a grub. Anyways, also, this is the one that is the Grubhub room. If you have the resources, which I do, you can climb up to the very top here and get yourself 4 grubs and 2 injectors, which is amazing. Since we're early into the game, that's why I felt like I can manage to go and get that. But you can see how, like, that's a pretty big detour. And if the mass is moving fast, it just kind of floods the entrance to that room, and so you soft lock yourself. But it's alright since we're early on. Anyway, that day, it was feeling just pretty weird. I believe that day we were dealing with there was like a new lifeguard that wasn't clearing one of the slides, because you've got a person at the top who dispatches the slide, and then you've got a person at the bottom who presses a button to let the people at the top know that, hey, it's clear. Anyway, you can't send it off until the person at the bottom says that it's all clear. Like, you physically can't, like, the buttons and everything don't work. So anyway, we're waiting. This guard, they, I believe they were new. They're not pushing the buttons. And so we're all kind of like, what the hell's going on? Because we waited for like 10 minutes for them to press it, and they didn't. And then the second that we try and get a supervisor to like kind of check up on them, it gets fixed. Like, they press the button, but only whilst the supervisor is around. So anyway, eventually they rotated off, so we didn't have to deal with it anymore. Plus, we were on different slides anyway. So that was like feeling a bit weird. Like, that was my first time having kind of something like that, I guess, where a guard isn't pushing that, but it was just kind of whatever. Anyway, I rotate down to kind of like a mat racer of sorts, where you get like on a mat, you push off, and you go down like a big old slope. If you've ever ridden any of those rides, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the guests, you have to make sure that they, you know, meet all the requirements and this and that. So you have to ask them. And I had a group of guests that, you know, I'll start this off. There's 4 people that can go down at once. The 4 people went down. I made sure they meet all the requirements. The group behind them, I don't know what they were doing. They were a bit in a rush. So I sent the people down on the group before them. And, what is it? I was telling them, hey, I need you guys to wait till the red light you guys see is off before you guys hop in. Because that's kind of like my indicator along with their indicator that they're all good to hop in. Because, the light going off means that that person at the bottom has cleared me to get people going. And so anyway, because the lights off means that there's people still at the bottom. Anyway, this group of people, as I have my back turned, which it's always you have your back turned and something happens. Anyway, I have my back turned. They proceed to start getting in the water, even though all the groups ahead of them, I've already told them, and they like should have overheard. I was speaking pretty loudly. Told them, hey, do not get in the water until that red light's off. Once it is, you guys can hop in and yada yada. Anyway, they get in the water, and I'm trying to get them out of the water, and as that's happening, it was like a grandpa and his grandkids, his granddaughter or whatever, went down the slide while it was red. And so I'm like, oh shit. So I radio to my supervisors and let them know what's going on, and they're like, okay, thank you for letting us know. Don't let anybody down while we go figure out if everybody's all good. So we do that, and I'm thinking, okay, it's probably going to be 5 minutes. Maybe if the kid got scraped up a little bit, it's, maybe 10 minutes. It's like 20 minutes before they get me going again. And they send up a slide tester. And also, we're going to be doing the altar thing here in a sec. We're going to get a perk, though. Anyway, they were told to go down the third slide. Because they're like numbered. And so they were told to go down slide number 3. And so I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, I radioed to them to make sure that they knew that, hey, the kid that went down was on slide 1. So, long story short, they kind of told me that, like, don't worry, it's intentional. Anyway, they send the person down the third one, wait another 5 minutes, then they get me going. And so I'm thinking, like, okay, that's the end of that. That was pretty weird, but it's whatever. I'm ending off my shift. And the supervisors pull me aside, and they're like, hey, we're going to need you to fill out an incident report. And newsflash, you only fill out incident reports if somebody got hurt. And so I'm thinking, okay, that kid must have gone down. Also, we got the rapier. I haven't done this one before. I know that you, like, bounce off of surfaces, so it's very interesting. I'm going to keep it, but I don't really know how it works too much. We might use it for more, like, mid-air mobility. It does ricochet you, though, if you hit into a wall like that, so pretty risky. I don't know if I'll really do it. We'll keep it, though. Anyway, let's get back to climbing. They call me into there, and I'm thinking, okay, it must have been the girl that went down early, because, that was the only thing that was, like, out of line. And they roll back the tape, and they say, hey, do you recognize this guest? And I don't, but I can recognize it was the guests that went right before them. So I'm like, okay, what happened? Like, I didn't say that, but that's like my mental thought process. And turns out this lady was telling the main guards that I didn't tell their all the requirements and everything, which was bullshit. I told her everything that she needed to know. And so anyway, she tries to, like, flame me to my bosses, and they pull me aside, and I'm thinking, like, okay, well, I know I told her everything I needed to tell her, and so they're just gonna back me up and be like, well, we just need you to fill us out anyway because of whatever. Our kind of, like, chain of command goes, what is it? Just normal lifeguards, then supervisors, and then, like, managers. And so, anyway, the managers or the manager on duty is the one that is talking with me. And she is saying that from what it looks like, I didn't tell him what I needed to tell him. And I'm like kind of like nodding my head because, you know, like at the time you don't like try and like go against authority, which I'm not the type of one to try and like do that too much. You know, I don't think you should be a pushover. That's not at all what I'm saying, but I feel like, anyway, I was just going with the flow. I was still like kind of like in shock a little bit. Like, okay, I'm having to do this. This is a little confusing, you know, whatever. And so she's telling me all this stuff, and then she has me fill out the incident report. And me mentally, like, I'm sticking to what I said, because, like, I believe that I had told her what I needed to tell her. And if she's saying that I didn't, then that's a lie, personally. So anyway, I fill out the incident report. I say everything that I thought happened. And she reads it back. And she's like, oh, I need to talk to you about this one part. Because we just talked a second ago. And I don't believe that this happened. And so she's basically calling me a liar. And, you know, I'm like, whatever, I believe what I believe. And so I ask her, like, hey, could you review back the camera? Because I'm pretty confident I told him what I needed to tell him. Newsflash, I did. She looked back at the cameras, and I did tell him. And literally, I was like 2 feet away from them. And so I don't know how they wouldn't hear that. Anyway, long story short, they have me fill out the incident report. I go on my way. This is a PM shift, and so for our PM shifts, they have us clean at the end of the day. Also, what are these super, super shitty, like, perks? I don't know. Anyway, never mind. We're gonna keep climbing. But I stick with it. They get me on my way. For PMs, you clean at the end of the shift because, you know, it's like a water park or a pool or whatever. And so they got to keep it clean. And so they have you go and, like, pick your stuff for the day. And, you know, you get on with it. Anyway, I have 2 sisters, actually, but one of my sisters works at the same water park. She's younger than me, and she was the one that got the job before me. And she was the one that made me apply there because I was working at the Chinese place and I wasn't making a ton of money. Anyway, so I start working at the lifeguarding place. And with that, you know, I'm graduated out of high school now, about to go to college. And some of the people there, like for example, one of my supervisors, funny thing with that, I used to do DECA, which is like Distributive Education Clubs of America. So that's going to be like basically just business, marketing kind of stuff. Shit. I kind of forgot that I used my blink eye more than once. It's alright. The thing with this, like doing the blink eye there, is that it can be helpful, but it, you kind of need some good perks to get up out of that fan room. Anyway, but, used to do DECA. I went to state for that. I'm still kind of pissed because I feel like I should have gone to nationals. My stuff was that good. Unfortunately, they did not think so, though. Because also with DECA, it's a lot of hypothetical things. Like, you create these things called, like, written events or role plays, and you're kind of, like, making stuff up a little bit, but you're using, like, your marketing terms and stuff you've learned to do that. But a lot of the judges that they get are just, like, random people that volunteer. And so, with volunteers, you've got people that really care about it, and, you know, they try and grade fairly or grade harsh or whatever. Meanwhile, you've got people that, you know, their son or whatever is doing this, and, you know, they've just volunteered for it, but they don't really know what they're hearing about, you know? Like, you can hear all this jargon about business stuff, but if you don't know what the hell it means, then you're not going to understand any of it. Anyway, um, I did good. I really prepared for mine, and then I wasn't even like a runner-up or anything for my category, which felt like bullshit because it was a really like kind of unpopular category, so it wasn't like too hard to win in it, if that makes sense. But anyway, still lost, still salty about that, whatever. But anyway, for state, you share a room with some other people that are going to state from your school, but it's like split up between the boys and the girls, you know? Anyway, I got a couple guys in my room, one of them being who is now one of my supervisors. Anyway, long story short, I recognize him from high school because a lot of the people that are working there are from the high school. So anyway, this is all going somewhere, by the way. Also, I should have held off, because if I get the cleaver in here, which I might, which I did, we did get the grappling hook. That is one that I definitely want. Also, this is like a perfect, like completely perfect, bazaar. Like, genuinely, that cannot be any better. Because not only did we get cleaver, we got barnacle hook, which is a grappling hook. And we've also got, what is it? We've also got 2 minor artifacts, which are the rose stones, which completely halt the mass's spread. And so basically what it means is I can just at any time be like, you know, the mass is going too fast for me right now. I'm just going to stop the mass. So very nice, bazaar. Could not ask for like any better. It's by far going to be super expensive because we're buying everything. It's going to be 48. Yeah, let's see what we can, he doesn't take any grubs. That's something I've kind of learned. We're going to just place everything. We're going to see what he will take. That's 9 right there. It's 29. I wonder if it's just kind of like what's on the ground right there. I don't know. We don't really need another pill bottle. Let's do an injector too. And a food can. Yep. Alright. Take all my junk. Give me all this good stuff. Anyway. What I was saying though, a lot of the supervisors or just general employees are people that either are still at my high school, like now they're, like they were younger than me, if that makes sense. So there's either that or they were like part of my graduating class. Anyway, so I work with people from my school. My sister works there. This is all getting somewhere, by the way. So there's this one girl, and you know, I recognized her from my high school, but never talked to her before. Anyway, I'm looking for my spot to clean. Keep in mind, this is right after I just get done dealing with the whole incident report and everything like that. Anyway, so I'm looking for what I'm going to be cleaning, and they're talking. One of them is working on cleaning one of the bathrooms with my sister, I believe. Anyway, so I have, like, I'm looking at my stuff. I'm overhearing their conversation because, like, I eavesdrop without even noticing it. It's just kind of like who I am. I don't try and do it. It's just kind of like, you know, you're just hearing things. And anyway, so I'm looking at the thing. Somebody's asking who my sister is, and you know, I tell him, or I don't tell him anything. The other person, who I do not like at all anymore, they're from my high school, Like, they're still currently going there. But also, mass is getting pretty fast in here. I'd love to pop something, but we're kind of going pretty slow. We're just going to have it go like that. Let me lock in a little bit, guys. Don't want to be selling the run this early on. We did get shattered chambers, which means that the other one's just going to be plain old silos, which is quite nice, I believe. I'm pretty sure that it doesn't give me two different silos. Like, it doesn't give me both alternate rooms, but I don't really know. Anyway, so I'm looking for what I need to be cleaning. Somebody asks who my sister is. You know, I'm just minding my own business, whatever. I didn't even notice that they were talking about my sister until they specifically, like, said her name. Anyway, somebody asked who she is, and one of the girls from my high school said, like, just flat out, like, insults her, like, based on her appearance, because she, like, at the end of her shift ended up having to ride one of the water slides down, because when they have additional, like, tubes or anything like that, they let us ride them down. So she rode it down, and she had a towel wrapped around her waist because of that. Anyway, she basically, like, it wasn't like crazy bad, but she just said, so yeah, like, oh, so and so, she's the one with the fuck ass towel wrap, which sounds, you know, not too bad, but she's my sister, you know, like, you know, she can piss me off at times, but she's still my sister. I don't want you insulting her right in front of me. I don't say anything in the moment, but they basically, she was just insulting how she was looking at the time, so I mentioned it to my sister. Also, we'll get to the altar here in a second. So she kind of insults how she was looking, and that didn't really sit right with me, but I mentioned it to my sister, and she, like, kind of just thought about it, and then she wanted me to go and mention it to one of the managers. And so that's pretty reasonable for me. Like, it's understandable. Somebody's shit talking you. You want, you know, one of the managers to know about it. So I do that at the end of the shift, and so she was shit talking my sister. Also, we've got so many fucking injectors. This is, like, genuinely crazy. Yeah, also, little food guy, guess what he does? Our little barnacle boy, he eats the food to get better. Also, what I've noticed is that he also is he's a plain old barnacle, but he has one of the autopatons drilled into him, and so that's what you're holding on to. Nice little fun detail. Anyway, so she insults my sister. I go clean the restrooms. I'm a little ticked off about it. It's whatever. At the end of the shift, I go talk to the manager about it, and, you know, that's done and over. It was already a long day because, you know, I dealt with all the stuff earlier with, you know, the incident report and all that sort of stuff. And, like, I'm just wanting to go home and relax. You know, my parents are divorced, and so you know, I have to run over to my dad's because I forgot a couple things. Anyway, I run over there. I park my car. I go inside to grab my stuff, grab a quick bite to eat, and I'm headed out the door to my car. I turn the key to my car. Nothing. Nothing. Literally, like, turn the key, not even a click, not even a sound. My AC cuts out. Just a whole lot of nothing. It did something similar in the past before, but it resolved itself relatively quickly. So I'm thinking that, you know, it's whatever. What is it? Also, we're so encumbered right now. You guys probably see we're super sluggish. We got to use up some items. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. So I try and get my car running, and nothing's happening. And so I know that I'm looking at, like, at least hundreds of dollars in repairs. I don't take anything to the shop, by the way, because I feel like the shop is just a colossal waste of your time and money and everything, so I just feel like it's not worth it. Also, we're going into Air Exchange. It looks pretty open above, but I don't know how I feel about that. Anyway, we're gonna get to it in a second, but what is it? Also, we got to use up a ton of items here because I can't be encumbered anymore. Um, Honestly, I don't really feel like I need a ton of artifacts right now. I think I'm kind of chilling, so I think we'll be okay. I don't really want to have to go through all that. I have too many items anyway, and I don't want to have to waste the items in there. So, anyway, my car breaks down, and so I'm like, I just got paid, and now I'm having to go and spend like a chunk of my paycheck to go and fix my car. And so, anyway, my starter went out, which isn't like a terrible thing, but you also like to reach your starter, you have to pull out a bunch of like air intake stuff and like do your manifolds and all that sort of stuff. So, anyway, it was $140 because I fix all the stuff in my car myself. But, anyway, triple whammy of the day. If I want to be honest, I am not like a teary man or like an emotional guy. But I'd be lying if I said that night that I didn't really just kind of wanted to cry, because it was like very much a long day. Um, so yeah, that's my worst day so far, because you had, shitty incident, somebody's insulting your sister, and then your car breaks down. Like, can knock on wood, hopefully nothing gets worse after that, but like, yeah. Anyway, let's get going, guys. I feel like I've taken way too long here talking. But, yeah. Oh, I see how it's like I was able to see up a whole lot without any fans. Um, yeah, anyway, this is pretty easy. I think this, once the next break room is going to be pretty fast because of all the stuff we got going. The encumberment's a lot better now, because we kind of lightened the load a little bit. Definitely, you can still tell that I'm climbing up slower because of it, because I've still got extra items. What would probably be most worthwhile for me would be getting some sort of back strengtheners to improve how much I can carry. But at the same time, I don't know. Yeah, the thing is, like, you can't always depend on, like, the grubs and everything. What would be really nice here, I feel like, shit, dude. Are you serious? It's, like, right below me. You know what? I'll show you guys what this little thing does. By popping it, what you do is you, go and stop the mass for a little while. So, it's quite nice. It's pretty good for, like, you just want to have it chill out for a second. I'm at a point where I feel like I don't have good enough perks to keep going for, like, a good run. But hopefully that changes. Hopefully it's just we're in a rough spot at the moment. It's whatever, though. We got a lot of items at the moment. My thought process is, hey, if we can get, like, what is it, like a metabolic stasis, then that'll be really good, because it means that we can just kind of pop items and then they last like a super long time, and then we can just collect more items as we go at the break rooms and then keep on going from there. I don't know how long the row, stone thing lasts. Hopefully it lasts a good bit. I don't really know, though. But yeah, we can, like, look at our perks. Like, the only decent one we have right now is, like, this, like, grub hand stuff. If we didn't have the perspiration thing, how is it back here, dude? Okay. we're up at the break room, but genuinely that is like, I popped one of those and I'm assuming that it lasts a good while, so I don't know how it just lasted like 5 seconds and went away. So whatever. We need something good here. Metabolic stasis. Okay. So what I can tell so far is that this is going to be like an item run. Maybe. That's kind of what it's looking like it's banking on. We're going to need more grubs and stuff like that. I forget we can also use the barnacle guy. We haven't really been using him too much. This next room is going to be kind of shitty. But, so yeah, just a very bad day at work, but it was whatever. Car did get fixed. It did take a little bit though, with that, because I still needed a car for work. I had to drive manual for one of the days, because we have a automatic car that I was like using, but what is it? What is it? One of my siblings took the keys and didn't put the keys back, so here I am needing to head to work, and I can't be late. I mean, you can be late up to 5 minutes, but I didn't want to be late. So anyway, they also with that, I think I was still like nearly late even with that. And so anyway, they took the keys, and so the only car we have is like a manual, which I, in the week prior, had just started to learn how to drive manual. And so I'm like extremely new to it. I don't know what I'm doing, and I need to get to work. So here I am going to work, not stalling the car, but killing the engine probably like a dozen times. Not a dozen times, but like probably at least like 3 times on my way to work. And so, not a fun time, because imagine you're just stuck, like you're on a highway, you're trying to get to work, and you've got guys that they don't know what the hell's going on, and rightfully so. But you have to just kind of flat out like stop there, because you're like, you've just killed the engine. So also, I'm just gonna go faster up here, because I really didn't want to have to deal with that. Cleaver's good if you can get the one hit thing. So if we could get that, that would be pretty nice, but kind of no promises, you know. We do have the metabolic stasis, which is pretty nice, because it means that the injectors last quite a lot longer than they usually do, which I like. And paired with the fact that my hands always have like the grub effect, it works pretty good. But anyway, continuing on what I was saying, because of my car being that the way it was, the day after I had to drive to work, having only driven manual. Okay, I've driven manual twice up to that point, but one was years prior, and the only recent time was like a week earlier when I was relearning how to drive manual. Anyway, the car, I killed the engine probably 3 times getting to work. Just cause it's really weird to like try and like feather the clutch and everything. If you've driven manual, you know what I'm talking about and everything. Part of me wants to see if I can get the extra storage, but at the same time, this is also a really good perk. I'm going to reroll, and that's bad. We're going to try and get rabbit DNA, I guess. I really don't know what to do, though. Don't got any fans above. We got shattered chambers. We got a minute, though, before we get going. We can go in the bazaar, so we're going to go in here. We do have another barnacle hook. We have carabiner. Placed pittons are more firmly set while holding onto a placed pitton. Reduce stamina gain, full increased jump height. Trinket, a photo. This one is plus 10 climb speed. I just kind of want that in general. Just take my pill bottles. I have too many of these. Yeah, just take a second one. Consider it a tip of sorts. Or, yeah, that's good. That's a good deal. Phew, dude, we've got so much shit in our inventory, though. We gotta figure out what to do about this, because this is bad. Anyway, also, we need to remember to use the barnacle hook. We've been forgetting. Anyway, so, killed the engine a bunch of times, and then killed it again when I went to go get lunch, and then killed it once on the way home. But, like, you've got people honking behind you. Anyway, starter was completely dead. It was slowly dying. I got a new starter on my car. It was 140 bucks, which compared to how much a shop would have cost, I saved myself like $600. So that's pretty nice, but yeah, definitely not a fun experience. And then car starts up a lot faster now, but definitely real shitty day, but you know, I'm gonna let bygones be bygones. It's in the past, so it's whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just kind of, I think I'll name this video something along the lines of White Knuckle and story time. I think that's pretty good. Cause I don't got like huge like plans for this basically. Also, we're fucking zooming. Alright, now we're using our own hands, I believe. Or not. Phew, dude. I'm worried that, like, I go so fast that I can't control my movement, and then I, like, fall into the mass, you know? Anyway, we needed to use up some items, so having a really easy run is kind of nice. But, yeah, let me see what other stories I can talk about. I guess I could talk about my grandpa. He's got a bunch of stories. First of all, I think that when it comes to helicopters, helicopters are like, genuinely, if I had, like, you know how, I don't know, like, if anybody knows Markiplier here. Hopefully you do. He did, like, a blood drive when he did his, movie Iron Lung or whatever. Anyway, if I ever had a bunch of money like that, I want to start something to get more laws put in place for helicopters. Because, think about it. You've had Kobe Bryant, most recently Oliver Tree, and like a bunch of other people die in helicopter crashes. Like, it's such a common thing, I feel like it's something that shouldn't be common, and yet it is. Like, I feel like it's like a serious issue that just nobody's addressing. And so I feel like a ton more laws should be put in place for helicopters, because they're just too dangerous as is. Like, for example, Hawaii. What is it? We used to have, not me, but family used to have a business out in Hawaii. And, what is it? It was, like, pretty common to have a couple helicopter crashes, like, each year. Like, that's just, like, a regular kind, well, not regular, but, like, it's not too rare of a thing. And so you'd feel like, how many plane crashes do you hear about? Like, none. You maybe have one a year, if that. And so to have helicopter crashes be so much more common, like in just Hawaii alone, there's like multiple each year. So worldwide, there's a ton. And so why is it not being addressed? I feel like there should be a lot more rules in place in regards to them, because at the moment they're just very unsafe, I feel like. We're gonna look at our perks real quick. Okay, this is kind of the item run. Because you're telling me double metabolic stasis, the perks last 143% longer. That's absurd. We do need more grubs. We're going to use one to climb up, but, yeah. I think what our plan will be is to just use items to kind of quickly fly up silos. But yeah, I feel like helicopters need to be a lot more moderated, but my point in that is a story I have, which I wasn't around when this happened, but my grandfather was in a helicopter crash. He used to do a lot of like plant pesticides, like because they spray them from helicopters. Anyway, he got in a helicopter crash when he was not like much younger, like he was like younger in the sense that he was like 40, but also this is like obscenely long how long this is lasting. Alright, let's not die in the fan, that would be nice, thank you. Alright, and then we are climbing pretty fast due to all of our buffs. That is quite nice. You guys saw I nearly died at the beginning of this whole thing, so that's not too good, but we're doing okay now. We're doing better. Anyway, so my grandfather's been in a helicopter crash. Like, man, I don't even know all the stories of his life. He's just such a crazy guy in the sense that he just has, like, always something you haven't heard about. Okay, well, that's the end of the run, guys. I'm sorry about that. I'm kind of running out of things to talk about. Yeah, I regret dying there. I really didn't want to. That was not my intention. It's definitely pretty difficult to try and get high on the meters. You kind of really need to get lucky with your perks. But yeah, talked about a good bunch of things today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I try to keep this pretty entertaining. This is like 2 hours long, just me ranting about work and, you know, just general stuff. But, yeah, if you actually stuck around and watched this all, I really do appreciate it. Gonna try and have this video be out tonight. But yeah, I think what I'm gonna try and do is lean into more, like, I'm liking this, where it's just, like, general, kind of, like, just talking and having like a game in the back, and so it's kind of like a mix of like a podcast, but like with game content, if that makes sense. So kind of like those like little like people, like they tell a story, but they got the Minecraft video, like doing the parkour stuff in the background. You guys know what I'm talking about. Something like that. Something similar. Anyway. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm gonna keep trying to work towards getting to Climblord on silos, but again, who knows when that will be. Our best distance is nearly 7,000 meters, and we just did 5,000 and died. But to be fair, I had some pretty shitty perks. So like this one, I had like 7 pulse organs, and I was just flying up silos, and I died because I was being stupid. This probably could have been a Climblord run. But I just got unlucky. Well, not unlucky, I was being stupid. This one we just did. I got unlucky. Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. It's probably going to be around exactly 2 hours long. So, it's been nice talking. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So, yeah. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye, guys.